A few months ago, I did a net worth update and I talked about everything in my net worth. I spoke about all my bank accounts, all my investing accounts, all my savings accounts, even cryptocurrency. But I had a lot of comments which mentioned, one, where's my pension? And two, student loan? Because I mentioned in that video that I did have a student loan, but I didn't want to include it. And also I hadn't even looked at the amount that I had in student loan to even add to my net worth balance. Also, I did happen to miss out on my pension because I forgot. It was off the cuff and I didn't actually properly prepare for it. It's not something that I track regularly on my net worth tracker. But in this video, I'm going to show you what my pension balance is and also what my student loan balance is. So let's get into the video. So this is the net worth tracker that I use to track my net worth. And this is basically all of my bank accounts, savings accounts, investing accounts, even my cryptocurrency, the amount of money that I hold in cryptocurrency. And you can see here that my net worth that I said in that video, I think I said it was £33,000, but it's now about £35,500. So it's gone up a little bit, which is basically additions from my income and also a little bit of gains in the market. I'm not going to go through every single thing that's changed, all of my bank accounts, all of my balances, everything like that in this video. But I just want to highlight the things that I've changed about my net worth. Basically, I'm going to start including my pension and I'm going to start including my student loan balance. For me personally, I don't include them simply because the pension I don't touch until I'm 65 and my student loan balance we're going to go through in this video. So without my pension and student loan, my net worth is £35,519. And looking at this graph right here, we can actually see that my net worth has grown by quite a bit over the last 6 months or so, simply because I didn't include my car before and I sold it, which then became cash. And so my net worth has gone up quite a bit. And also my savings rate has gone up. So I'm actually saving or investing a lot more money than I was before. And I'm spending a little bit less money. But as you can see, there are two columns over here, which I might zoom in on, but one of them is pension and one of them is my student loan balance. So as you can see, there's no balances from these two things for forever, really, up until this month when I added it in. I'd love to go back and track my pension balance and my student loan balance over time, but that's not something that the platforms that I use actually track. So I'm just taking the number that it is right now and I'm going to start tracking it going forward. Without further ado, let's just take a look at my pension balance. So currently, my pension is sitting at around £12,064. Now this is split over a few different pension companies. So I have around about £10,000 sitting in a pension, which is an accumulation of all of my previous jobs. And I also have around about £2,000, which is an accumulation from my current job, which I started in around May last year. I have also considered putting them all into one place or taking them all out entirely and putting them into a SIP. But I think that's just a little bit too complicated for me at the moment. And I'm more focused on just making sure I'm adding to my pension and making sure that my employer is also adding to my pension so that I don't really have to worry about this sort of thing until I retire. And realistically, I'm hoping that eventually, if I'm adding enough to it and my employer is matching that it should be enough money for me to effectively retire on. Even though I'm also planning on having my own retirement fund, like investing or property in the future, I still think that the workplace pension, which is something that's introduced recently, so the auto-enroll pension scheme in the UK, is something that you should be able to retire on yourself if you don't have any other investments. In the long run, it's probably only going to be around about £200,000 to £300,000 when I retire if I'm contributing the minimum amount. I think you can calculate that if you're on the average salary in the UK, which is around about £35,000, and you're contributing the minimum amount to your pension, which is around about 4%, that gets uplifted to 5% from the government. And then your employer contributes 3%, which makes up the 8%. By the time you retire, you should have around about £200,000 to £300,000 based on previous market conditions. Obviously, you can't guarantee future results, but that is sort of the expected amount. Anyway, I have around about £12,000. So that brings up my net worth from around about £35,000 to around about £47,000. So it does help out quite a bit, but it's not something that I track monthly, but I will be going forward. So now on to the most controversial part of my last net worth update, student loans. Now the reason why student loans were so controversial in my last update was simply because I don't include them. It's not something that I see as an actual debt and something that I actually have to consider when I'm calculating my net worth, simply because it does get written off. And also it comes out of my gross pay when I'm paid by my employer. And because it comes out of your gross pay, it's often referred to as a student tax. So I have behind all of these blue boxes calculations and the amounts that I pay into my student loan and what comes out of my salary each month, and also the interest that's added to my student loan balance every single year. So the balance of my student loan is currently £58,775. Now this was the balance at the end of January. I'm currently filming this in the middle of February. I think the interest and payments are calculated on a monthly basis. So this is the most accurate number that I have right now, but it's quite a big number. Looking at that number, you're probably thinking, holy shit, well, what did you do at uni? I'm not going to go into that right now, but it is a hefty balance. Now, this wasn't just £9,000. This was also money that I was given to spend while I was at university as well. Realistically, 60k is quite a lot of money. Now, when we take into account the 60k, my net worth comes to minus £11,000. So even if I liquidated all of my assets, I wouldn't be able to pay my student loan balance. And even if I didn't include my pension and sold everything out then, I'd still be negative £25,000 in my student loan balance. But I will be tracking this going forward just for the clarity in terms of what my finances are looking like. It's not something that I actually care about. It's not something that affects me emotionally, but it is there. And I'm showing this for full clarity in terms of where I am at financially. So underneath this box is a net worth graph, which I'm going to be tracking fully. So this graph to the left is my cash net worth effectively. It includes my investing, but it doesn't include my pension or my student loan balance. But in this graph here, I will be going forward from this point, I will be tracking everything. So I'll be tracking my net worth, which includes my pension and my student loan balance, which means that you'll see me on the road to zero. And then obviously after that, you'll see how little my student loan balance affects my life. And also you'll probably see how much my student loan balance is going to increase over these next few years because of the increase in interest. Anyway, let's get down to the calculation of my student loan balance. So there are a few things underneath this blue box, which I'm going to talk through right now. So my current salary is £45,000. And according to the government, £27,295 of my salary does not become applicable income. So effectively, any money underneath £27,295 of gross pay, I don't have to pay student loan on that money. So that means that if you're earning underneath £27,295, you don't pay any of your student loan down. And it also means that the money earning over the £27,295, you only pay student loan on that income. So effectively, my applicable income is the salary minus the not applicable income. And that comes to £17,705. So from there, you calculate that you pay 9% of your, what they say, monthly income towards your student loan balance. So I've calculated 9% of my applicable income, which comes to £1,593.45 per year, but then per month that becomes £132.79. But what I can say is that this isn't an exact amount. I believe they do just round this number. But when I looked at my last 6 months of payments, it came out to £780, which if I divide that by 6, it comes to 130. So I think they rounded it down, or at least they rounded it to the nearest 10. But if we take a look at my last 6 months of interest, it came to £2,653. So you can see there's a big difference there. And if I just calculate what the difference is, every 6 months, my student loan balance increases by £1,873. Now, there's an interesting way that the government calculate, or at least the student loan companies calculate how much interest you're paying. So if you're earning less than the applicable income, so if you're not paying down any of your student loan, you're accruing interest on your student loan of 4.3%. If you're earning between just over the applicable income, so £27,296, all the way up to £49,130, you're accruing 4.3% plus up to 3%. I think it's based on what student loan category you're in. So whether you're on the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, or phase 4. So it could be up to 7.3%, even if you're earning £27,296. And then if you're earning over £49,130, you're automatically put onto the 7.3% interest rate. Now, I think this does change when certain interest rates change. So if the Bank of England interest rate comes down, then this might change, or if it goes up, it might actually change again. But as you can see, based on these calculations, my interest rate is somewhere in between 4.3% and 7.3%. The reason why I'm not considering paying down my student loan, there are a few. One, it will be written off at some point if I do not pay it down. Now, the other thing, even if I'm accruing interest at 7.3%, I can beat that in the stock market. The stock market has returned around about 10% every single year for the last 100 years, and I would hope that I can beat that 10%. Now, if you do the calculation of 10% annual return minus 3% inflation, that leaves me with 7% return. Realistically, I'm probably not actually beating that interest that's accruing, so I should consider paying down my student loan. But I'd rather accrue a big number and then be able to pay that down in its entirety so that it gets cleared in one go. I don't want to be paying £1,000 a month into my student loan and it take me 5 years to pay it off, when I could build up that money over a shorter period of time and then pay it down in its entirety to then clear it in total. So at this point in the video, you're probably thinking that I'd be stupid not to just pay that £1,000 a month that I'm investing, pay down my student loan. So if this £60,000 was any ordinary debt that affects your credit score, that is increasing at 10, 15, 20% every single month, then I would definitely 100% consider paying this down. I would be putting my full force into paying this debt down, but it is not the same as that. It's not unsecured debt. It is debt that's outside the realm of anything. You could call it unsecured debt because there's nothing that goes against it, but it doesn't affect anything. It doesn't affect your credit score. They don't come after you if you don't pay it. If you don't pay it eventually, obviously I'm paying it down every single month, but as we've just seen, I'm not reducing the balance. The balance is continuously increasing. Now, this strategy might not work for everyone. I think majority of people don't think about paying down their student debt at all. There are a lot of people out there that would consider this debt and would want to pay it down, would want to work really hard to get rid of it. But it's not something that you should really be thinking of unless you're potentially a higher earner or you have that fear and it affects you mentally. It doesn't affect me. I don't really think about it. I don't really care. I'm only really thinking about it because I made the YouTube video about it. So I will continue to treat my student loan how I've been treating it in the past. But at some point, if I've got enough money to get rid of it entirely, then I probably will. If I'm happy with where I'm at financially, I've got enough invested, I've got property, I've got a place to live, I'm living comfortably, and I'm thinking I've got a student loan balance, maybe I should pay it down. But at the moment, I don't think it's that important. Tell me what you think in the comments. Do you think I should be putting more money into my student loan every single month to pay it down? Do you think I should liquidate all of my assets just to get rid of this student loan balance? Or do you think I'm doing the right thing and just leaving it to one side? Thank you for watching this far into the video. If you enjoyed the video, give the video a thumbs up. Any suggestions on improvements to the video content or ideas for content going forward, then please leave me a comment below and I'll give you a reply. Thank you.